Let me introduce now to the podcast the former tight end slash fullback at Notre Dame, Christopher Berry, a 6'2", 240-pound player looking for an opportunity in the upcoming 23 XFL Draft. What's going on, Chris? How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How about yourself? Thanks for having me on.
Doing good, man. Just trying to get some guys out, put their names out there, and I know you did a bunch of spring league and stuff. Why don't I let you introduce yourself a little bit better?
Yeah, so as you said, tight end and fullback, played at the University of Notre Dame, and yeah, right now just looking for that next opportunity to go to the next level. Been doing a lot of XFL stuff. I did, working through obviously like everyone else with the pandemic and all of that, some sort of virtual opportunities, doing different showcases, kind of sending stuff to different teams at the NFL, and just getting some looks there, and just trying to progress as much as you can and try to, like you said, look for that next opportunity, and just stay ready as much as you can through kind of, some of the uncertainty and craziness, as I'm sure a lot of people have experienced as well.
And so you were able to do some combines this past year?
Yeah, so I was down, and so I did some pro days this past spring. And I did my last one was at Merrimack College. I was training down in Miami, Fort Lauderdale area, Bomberitos, this past spring and winter for about like 4 or 5 months, which is great. And, get to do a lot of the combine stuff, obviously, which is awesome. And then along with that, a lot of just football prep with some of the pros. Like Jonnu Smith was one of the big tight ends down there. That, was a big guy for me because I'm up in New England, so it was cool to have another Patriot down there to work out with, and just listen to and get some advice from. And yeah, along with that, I've done some showcases, just more of the generic ones that have like the NFL, XFL, CFL down in Texas the year prior, and Indianapolis before that. And yeah, and just some of my own stuff, filming stuff locally, like especially when stuff shut down. Trying to get some route trees out, between emailing people, getting it out online, just sort of doing whatever you can to kind of just, get your stuff out there. And, again,
and you had a pro day coming out of Notre Dame, right?
Yeah, so that was a couple of, yeah, those were the Merrimack one was the most recent one I did. Just because they, had the ability to kind of take some, extra guys, just because it's not as big of a, school and all that. So.
And do you feel like your numbers are similar to when you came out?
I feel like I've been getting a lot faster and a lot stronger. A lot of the intangibles, with some of the numbers. I know, like from a strength perspective, you don't necessarily see that with just the bench, but like I feel like just a lot more fluid, a lot more explosive, and tying that into the experience I'm able to get with what I've done. Just from a football perspective, being able to apply all that at the different positions that I do. When you're taking that time over those years, even though it's hard and you don't necessarily, getting those opportunities necessarily on the field to do it, but, still trying to find ways to progress it. I'm starting to see that sort of pay off now with some of the opportunities I've been getting with the XFL.
Yeah. And I mean, so you had an opportunity to play in the spring league. What year was that?
That was 2019.
Okay. So it's pretty recent. And how do you feel that prepared you for like an XFL type opportunity?
It's all like stuff like that's always great too. Obviously, really, you're really playing. A lot of the other stuff between the showcases, you're not in pads or anything, and you really get to kind of do some actual football stuff with some, good competition. A lot of the intangibles too about working with a new team, people that you never played before, and actually trying to play together, new coaches, all that kind of stuff, and stuff that you'd actually have to adjust to. In a real, situation that you get brought into. So those kind of opportunities are great, obviously, and having the ability to, like I said, actually play, and alongside of, a lot of the combine stuff's obviously just creating you as a better athlete in general. So being able to kind of mix those two together, I think were really important for me.
And that was down in Texas?
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Okay. And have you talked to any teams from down there in the XFL, or has anybody contacted you?
Yeah, so I talked to the San Antonio team down there a bunch, as far as like some of their coaches and personnel guys, just kind of getting, I did the showcase down there in Texas as well. That was at the end of July, this past summer.
Okay.
So all the teams for the showcase were there, which is great. And it's kind of following up, doing some of the private workouts that they have, which is good. They all get a little bit more specific, a little bit, more competitive and, involved as far as from just like what they're looking for, to trying to bring, the right people into their offense and onto their team too. So, it's really cool to be a part of the process. You're really like, you're kind of, there's a lot of, unknowns and uncertainties with that as well, but just, being able to work on stuff and kind of being, in the mix with everything is exciting.
And you played tight end, obviously, and you
Yeah.
also played a little fullback. Any other positions that you got to experience there at the spring league?
So yeah, I mean, different types of positions just from the tight end perspective. So I did like the regular inline Y and like the F position, so more like the H back, fullback, and sometimes you do split out, Y, more of like a slot type receiver. So it's pretty, being versatile in that position alone kind of gives us a lot of, gives me a lot of options to play, in various different formations that coaches may have.
And you played some special teams as well.
Yeah, I did a lot of stuff, especially like with Notre Dame. That was a big thing for me, just kind of coming in right away. And, I obviously continued that because I know it's important at the next level. And, between like, just punt block, kickoff return, and obviously the field goal stuff. And being able to kind of have that understanding of what they're looking for there. And, it's really helped, just again, having that extra athleticism to be able to, a lot of those, you're sprinting on the field, 50,
Yeah.
60, 70 yards. So being able to do that, at my size is, really good for me.
So you're getting to play against some NFL, XFL caliber guys,
Yep.
down there, and that's been pretty recently as well. So I basically, why should an XFL team take a shot on you, man?
Yeah, well, I told a lot of them in the past, like the guys that I spoke to and some of the personnel guys and the coaches that, as I'd mentioned to you earlier in this, like I feel like I have a really, well-rounded base behind me, especially what I learned with at school and what I've continued to progress. And, a lot of those, it's very, it's, like I said, it's been challenging the past few years as it has been for everyone with a lot of the stuff that's going on in the world. And I think it's, to continue to see that progression for myself and, kind of, some of it's creating my own opportunities and some of it is making the most of the situation that I'm in. And as you can see, I continue to be, sending stuff out. I'm very proactive in that matter. And, with myself personally and the stuff that I do to, create those opportunities. And I know that, I'm going to continue to progress. And it's been a really key, important thing for me because, like I said, not having that necessarily that tape that, you have maybe every year, or some guys have, or most
Yeah,
recently out of college, but I still have that ability to progress, whether it's with my athleticism, with what I can do on the field, with my football IQ. That's going to continue as I continue to go out through, through my career, because that's just sort of the type of person I am. I want to get a little bit better every day, string, good days together. And, I want to be able to bring that to a team. And I always told them, like, you're not going to be, making a mistake. You won't be disappointed with what I bring from a teammate standpoint, from a, individual player standpoint, because I want to be able to do what it takes for us to, ultimately win games. And that's me being the best version of myself to help, our other teammates be the best version of themselves to help us, ultimately go after our, team
absolutely.
goals.
And do you do coaching at all?
I've helped out. I haven't done like any, formal stuff, but I do try to help out. I'm in the, New England area, like New Hampshire, Massachusetts. So it's been kind of, there's not tons of people, doing this type of stuff. So I try to do as much as I can just from, a volunteering standpoint of helping out where, if they
Yeah.
ask, or, I like to be involved as much as I can because, I've never really had, like when I was growing up in high school or even, below that in middle school or Pop Warner, I didn't, there wasn't a lot of guys like, to kind of just have sort of even, not that I've done it, the best way or the right way, just a way to kind of go out
Yeah.
there to the next level. And, having some type of blueprint there, or just even the fact saying like, hey, you can have opportunities in football and in sports and in life beyond, just the bubble of New England or beyond high school. And, I kind of want to sort of be that, image for that as much as I can be and sort of show that, whether regardless of whatever it is that kids in high school are trying to do, that's sort of like how I approached it, not necessarily what it is that I was able to accomplish.
All right. Yeah. I mean, who's a player in the NFL you would compare yourself a little bit to? Or a
Uh,
player?
Yeah, I remember I always kind of went back to like Jason Witten on the Cowboys. It was a big guy for me. I do really like George Kittle now.
Yeah.
Um, and Mark Andrews more like recently. But when I was growing up, I obviously like Gronk because of, being in New England. But I thought as far as just from a playing style, like Jason Witten was kind of that balance kind of guy that he would block, he would be in the different positions, he could go in motion, he obviously
Good
could
tight
catch
end.
and run his routes, but he used those different aspects of his game to help amplify the other aspects of his game. He was such a good blocker that it helped him get open in the passing game. He was, ran such great routes that it helped him, get his leverage even when he was blocking because they didn't know exactly what he was doing. And he was just that really good all around, all purpose, all down kind of
Just did
guy.
all the little things right, man.
Yeah,
That's
and he was a smart guy, and he did it the right way, and I really saw, and that was kind of like, that's the kind of thing they look for. Some guy like in that position, they tell you, you need to be blocked, you need to be like an offensive lineman blocking defensive ends, but you need to run like a receiver, and he did all that kind of stuff, and it was something I tried to model myself as well.
yeah, it's hard to just be a pure blocker nowadays. You're gonna have to probably break off, make some type of athletic play at some point. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's just the way it has, evolved. I mean, and people that's what they want to see. They want to see a fast game. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, one final question. Who's someone in your life that inspires you to keep going, moving towards your dream here?
Oh, I mean, obviously, my parents were always big in my life, and they sort of got me involved with football when I was 8. And in the beginning, it was really hard for me, just kind of like the grind of it, and I honestly didn't really like it. And they were just very supportive in the process of like I was 8 years old. They were kind of they wanted me to do what made me happy, and so like if I wanted to stop, they would have supported me. If I wanted to keep going, they wanted to support me. So they kind of left that door open for me to kind of be who I wanted to be and do what I wanted to do. And I sort of took it upon myself saying like, I want to push through this for myself. And they've sort of always continued to be that for me, kind of, I always did stuff like, the way I wanted to do it, how I felt like I needed to do it, sort of like that was driving, through my heart for me. And they've kind of, propelled me the way that, I wanted to go. And it helped me along the way, guided that, when I needed help and sort of let me, go in the direction I wanted to go. And it was really, sort of having that, clearance essentially to kind of chase after what it is that I wanted to and sort of be the person I wanted to be. I always wanted to, make them proud and, show, them like what it was able to come out of it. And I always knew that they sort of, struck a fire in me as a kid because, they would push me and, and now I said like, there's no turning back now. So I have to, see it through. So I always can have them for that.